Of Let's Develop. I'm your host, Chris Woolley. We've got our guest, Luci Dumas, today, and she's going to be sharing some amazing tips on in-person sales with us today. So if this is your very, very first time with Let's Develop, welcome. This is an educational webinar series brought to you by American Color Imaging. And basically, we bring amazing and knowledgeable photographers from all over the country, and they share information with us, which I think is super, super cool. So a big shout out to ACI, American Color Imaging, for helping put this on. If you've missed previous episodes, including the one that we had a couple of weeks ago with Josh and Bruce Hudson on client experience, you're definitely going to want to check those out. You can go to acilab.com/let's-develop, and you'll be able to see the full archive of all the shows that we have. This is actually show number 18, which I think is pretty cool. And this is what we're talking about today, in-person super sales with Luci Dumas. So this is going to be pretty fun as we're going through with all of this stuff. So if you have not done this before, there is a little chat box that's off to the side, and it's in that chat box that you can type in questions, comments, communicate with us. I'll be able to read those. I'll kind of chat with Luci about the stuff that's there. So if you've got questions on anything, Luci said, go ahead, interrupt me, ask those questions, and she will be able to answer them live for us. So let's get into learning more about Luci. Why do we care what she has to say? So Luci is a good friend of mine. I first met her several years. I can't exactly remember how many years ago, but it was at a wall portrait conference that we were together. And she is just such a stunning person, very, very kind. And she knows her stuff when it comes to sales. So she's a master photographer, photographic craftsman. She's been a full-time photographer for over 38 years. You can even call her Aunt Luci if you like, because she's so kind and loving. You just want to give her a great big hug. But she definitely knows about wall portrait sales. And she's going to be sharing information with us today on how to sell 3 to 7 wall portraits or albums to almost every client, which just kind of blows my mind. And she's also into the photography education world too. She has an awesome podcast called The Profitable Photographer with Luci Dumas. I've been on that show with her before too. So she's like, all right, Chris, I'll come back. I'll be on your show then for it. So we get to play a little bit of back and forth there. But Luci's just one of those genuine people. I think you're really, really going to love her and the information that she has. So I've talked enough. We want to hear what you have to say, Luci. Blow our minds. Blow our minds.
Woo!
Right.
I also do coaching, so that's something.
I totally left out that part. Yes.
And my 40th anniversary is coming up in February, which is pretty mind blowing. And I started out in weddings, and after 10 years, I realized I was going to hit that burnout, and then I switched to children and families. That's where the Aunt Luci comes in. So. Anywho, before we get started, I'd love to know a little bit about people in the audience. So I'd like to know how many people, I guess they posted in the chat.
Yep, just type it in the chat.
If you're doing in-person sales currently, or if you're doing shoot and share, or another one, I've trademarked this title, Post and Pray. You know what Post and Pray is?
Post them and pray that they buy them?
Yes.
Yeah, right now, who's doing in-person sales? Oh, we got lots of IPSers here.
Yay.
Ooh, including a virtual IPS. Donald's doing it the virtual route, getting all fancy.
Yeah.
We've all kind of had to adapt on there.
So are there people doing shoot and shares?
So far, it's all IPS.
Good. And no digital delivery only?
Nobody's mentioned anything yet.
Good. So I'm sort of preaching to the choir. So
right, give us those tips, those high value tips on how do we get to the 3 to 7 wall portraits.
Yes, because in my system, I've got some what do we call them? Oh, the secret sauces that. My phone's ringing. I'm going to shut the door.
Right.
So I can get into those. So my plan today is to give you the reasons to sell in person, and you may know this already, but it always helps to have it clear. And it helps to, if you're talking to a friend, if you're doing IPS, you may be like me, that you're always meeting people that aren't, and you're like, wait, what? You need to do it. So they'll give you some ammunition if you don't need more convincing yourself. So I would like to know how many people think of the word selling as a negative or kind of like an icky word. That how many of y'all are a little uncomfortable selling?
So who doesn't like the word selling or the idea of selling? So go ahead and put that into chat. If you love it and hate it, say I love it. Let me know your feelings about selling. Are you a
Love
salesman?
it, like it, gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, Sue's comfortable with it. Tim says yuck.
Good. Yeah.
It can be scary.
Well, because we get into photography, most people get into it because we love photography and decide we want to make money doing something we love. Now, there are people who decide to open a studio because it's darn good business. And but I find in this industry, there are more passion photographers that are, if we're going to make a living at it, we need to learn how to sell and market. So it's very natural. And so thanks for being honest. For those of you that said yuck.
Yeah. So we got Cassandra saying that she has to do it. Robert that has difficulty with it.
Good.
So we got a pretty good mix here.
Good. So for me, my mom was a natural salesperson, and I realized when I remembered this, when I was a kid, the first time I ever made something creative and sold it that I can remember, I walked around my block. I wasn't allowed to cross the street, but as long as I stayed on the sidewalk, I could walk around my block. It was maybe 7. I picked flowers. I didn't know that the neighbors had planted those flowers. I thought God just made flowers. And then I came home, I made little bouquets, and then I walked back around and knocked on doors, in-person sales, and sold people their own flowers. And I made enough for a couple of ice cream truck rounds and a trip to the candy store or whatever. So it did come naturally for me. But it is a skill that can be learned. And so the core of my training, the core of what I do and what I teach people is a foundation I call becoming the trusted advisor. So unless I establish the kind of relationship where they surrender to my leadership, they trust me, they like me, they know I like them, they feel valued. If I haven't created that kind of connection between us and that kind of trust, then no amount of secret sauce in the sales room is going to result in what I'm looking for. Does that make sense to you, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I 100% subscribe to that idea.
Yep. So I think I'm just going to, because time's going to go fast here. So
right.
I'm going to just jump into, so my 6 reasons why I love in-person sales and why, honestly, I think it is the best service to our clients. Number 1, providing those finished portraits to our clients is a gift to them. Clients don't know what we know about the value of finished art in their homes. If they get the files, they don't take the time to print. If they do print, they don't have access to great professional labs. I was asking Chris earlier if ACI, I heard they're one of the few labs that still does the true stripped canvas. And he said, yes, on request. So
yeah, you have to know the secret handshake to get it. But yeah,
yes.
if you talk to one of their reps, they'll tell you how to do that.
Yes. So our clients don't have access to the stripped canvas or to, the higher quality products. But we know that, like one of my clients, I did their 25th wedding anniversary and I just did their 50th. And then this February, COVID took her husband, and she shared with me how these portraits are the comfort, a treasure. It's so gratifying to know that what I've spent my time in life doing is something that is an undescribable treasure. So that's one of the things we know, that a client, let's say it's a young family, they don't understand how life unfolds in all kinds of ways. And children are little, but then they become big and then you can't stand them, but you look at the portrait on the wall and you go, oh, yes, I love them after all. And to me, I want to sell multiples because a beautiful Steve Saporito, I think do you know Steve?
I do not.
Well, he talks about the family portrait is like the basic. It's like the milk in the supermarket. But the other groupings and other creative images and other things that we can do fill out the story. And so I want them to be able to walk around their house and see different images from the same session and just get these good feelings. Like I'm in this room. Oh, I feel that. Oh, I'm sitting here. I'm looking up at that. Oh, so yes. So it's a gift to our clients.
Right. If it's not up on the walls and they're not getting that the warm fuzzies when they see it, it's hard to get those warm fuzzies on a USB drive in your desk drawer.
Right. Or I always I don't know who used to say this in their class, but the only people that really enjoy an 8x10 and a 5x7 are whoever dusts the frame. You have to get close to it. All right. So number 2 is it's such a joy to sit down with clients. And I highly recommend doing slideshows in person as much as possible because they're going to laugh and cry and be, you get that feedback about what they love. Number 3, our work improves because when we see what people respond to and then what they put their hard-earned cash towards, then we can repeat that. We can know, yes, that scene, that setting, that pose, that something, that's a winner. I'm going to do that next time.
That one always makes money.
Yes.
It's nice to be like, I'm not going to forget that one. People always buy it.
Right. That's why I had to quit weddings, Chris, because I had such a list of things that they were going to buy that like as every year went by, I got more and more exhausted because my list got longer and longer. My pocketbook got solider, but I just wore myself right out with that. And some of my best images were becoming just a 5x5 in a book. So, fully investing in the wall portraits was an important decision, and doing kits because I love kits because I'm Aunt Lucy. Okay. So reason number 4 is that it preserves those family legacies. We already talked about that there's such an avalanche of digital imaging coming at us. I gotta watch my time. Okay, I got lots of time. I've been looking for a photo album that has pictures of me little for decades. And my sister was visiting. All of those books are at my house now. But for some reason, I never saw the one that had me at 3 and 4, my 4th birthday, me in a little flower field that I always loved, and a picture of my dad that just captured, and they were, just snapshots, but they were printed work. And when I saw those, something foundationally changed inside of me about my understanding of my adorableness, how much my dad, who was kind of quiet and not expressive, must have just like delighted every minute about me being his kid. So I would never have had that experience had I. How would I have found those digital images? So prints, we know that. Okay, and the one that most people think of is more money, more money, more money.
That doesn't hurt anybody's feelings.
Yes. And so, that's a big plus. That's a big driver to this. But I do want to say that being a place of service is, to me, the most powerful driver of why we do this. Because there's other ways to make good money, but serving our clients with the experience, the connections, preserving family legacy, those naturally lead to doing things that will automatically result in more income if we price ourselves well and we learn to sell. And then we have more time in our life when we're doing, let's say, 2 sessions instead of 10 and making the same income. I'd love to know, and this is nobody's seen this, so I'd love to know what people's average sales are right now.
Sure. So if you're comfortable, share what's your average sale? So I can put that into chat. That's always a little bit scary. Nobody wants to go first. Be like,
Yeah. But only Chris. And when I say average, I don't count the ones that maybe have gotten a certificate and don't purchase anything, because that's a marketing budget thing to me, because there's going to be no's. But are we getting some numbers on that?
Yeah. So we've got 3,000 to 5,000. Got $50. Our average is around 22 at 2,200. Yeah, not $22. I wouldn't be very happy doing that.
$22.
Landscape photographer says 125, 800 to 1,500, 1,300. So we've got a pretty nice range that's coming up through here.
We do. However, I want to teach you, and I'm going to jump into it pretty soon, how to have 3,000 to 6,000 and more every time.
Wow, 3,000 to 6,000.
How many people want that?
Right. Yeah, I think you can get a smiley face if you want to be up in the $3,000 to $6,000 per session.
And more, 8,000, 10,000. I have a coaching client that just did 15,000 on a boudoir portrait. So yeah, everything's possible.
But you have to set the framework up for it.
That's right. I'm diving right in now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the basic system, as I said, is that I set everything up so I become the trusted advisor. So the way that I do that starts with a phone call. I strongly encourage people, if you're doing a lot of email and texting communication, you start loving the phone instead of being like, oh, I'm phobic, or I don't know what to say. You do need a plan. So just picking up the phone and hoping you can have a great conversation without a plan, I don't recommend that in the phone calls. But it's still better than emails because, well, I won't go into all that, but it's that personal touch. It's getting to know them and planting those seeds for purchase, starting that trusted advisor relationship. So my plan on the phone is, first, after a little bit of initial, hey, what's going on? Is it cold there? Did you have trouble finding me? Whatever, is to get them to like me and trust me, because I'm asking them questions that also get them in touch with the emotional connection they have with the subjects. So I'm not asking questions like, where do you want to do it? There's some scripts that I've seen and, they work great, but this is that next level.
You're not focused on the logistics of the shoot. You're focused more on getting to know the people and building rapport.
Right.
Okay.
So I might ask, like, let's say it's a couple. I might start asking questions. Where did you guys meet? What attracted you to her? When was that minute that you thought, I want to live the rest of my life with this woman? Or so asking connection, and not just asking one question, but like a follow-up. Like, does dad work outside the home? So when he's coming home after a day, do kids hear them? What do they do? Describe that to me. How does that feel when you see dad walking through the door and the kids jumping all over him? And so are you picking up what I'm putting down there, Chris?
I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Yeah. You're trying to learn about them, not just plan out what the shoot is, but actually get to know your clients.
Get to know them, but also help them get to know themselves better. My goal is to get them almost to the point of tears. If you ask me the right questions about my great grandnephew, who I was there for his birth 1.5 years ago, and how I feel about him, it wouldn't take long for me to just get like such a deep feeling of love for him. So then after I do that, then I say, if I could create a portrait that would capture that, no, I don't like, I'm over the word capture. If I could create a portrait where every time you looked at it, you felt what you're feeling right now when you share this with me? Where would you love to display that? So, like in your case, I might say when you feel the most sassy, when, you know, um, when did you feel the most beautiful? What is it about? Anyway, I'm trying to like rush this, but there's lots of really rich questions if you're doing women about our lack of confidence, about those times that we felt like, dang, girl, you are really beautiful. I felt that the night I got my master's, because it was when we did fancy things and we wore sequin gowns and there were mirrors in the hotel. And I kept seeing a mirror and being like, whoa,
That's me.
whoa, yes. So then if you were asking me that, I shared that. And then I began to feel like, okay, I'm going to feel that again when you photograph me, Chris. And then when I have this on display, I like it's going to be like that day all over again.
It'd be
So
empowering.
very empowering and very connecting. Very much like at this point, the client is starting to think, "Wow, I think I want that." You know that the desire goes beyond the price or the yes, I want a nice picture like this, but the something more. Um, and then I share a little about how I work, that it's custom. I'm going to find out more about them. I tell them a quick story of a success of an art piece and how it was designed and what it means in their life. And then I ask, how did that all sound? And then I do, this is Charles Lewis 101 about the money question. So my average is X to X, and that might include something nice. My average minimum, that might include something nice for your home and a few smaller ones to share. Does that fit within your budget? So at that point, they say yes. Then the next step is a consultation. I don't go into pricing because now we're getting away from emotion and we're
So
getting
when you say
to
don't go into pricing, you're saying I don't go into specifics. Here's how much an 8x10 is.
right,
Here's how much a 30 by
right.
40 canvas is.
Or
Um,
here's what that 600 to 800 minimum covers. I
sure. So we
just
just want to make sure that the base ballpark, they're not going to exclude themselves from a client saying, "Oh, I was expecting $100 and I get everything." We want to
right,
make sure that we're in line and should continue the conversation.
exactly. But we don't want
Don't
to
dwell on the
sidetrack
pricing.
this the connection that we have and the emotional and connection by getting into all those numbers and too much thinking. So we set up the consultation. At the consultation, I I spend more time with that emotional connection. I show them my work. I always use the word plural. This is one of those um, little. I don't say where would you like to display a portrait. I oh wait, I skipped. I give them homework at the
Nope.
phone call. So I have a little homework. I want you to photograph the spaces that might be beautiful for wall art.
Is this for doing like room view type thing?
No, I do not do room view at all.
Okay, so
Um,
it's just getting them thinking about where they're going to display the artwork.
Thinking about it, I'd like you to photograph it. I'd like you to measure it. And I always do plural spaces, spaces, spaces.
Because they're not buying
So
just one. We got to get to that 3 to 7.
that's right.
I love
So
it.
then when they come in and they've got pictures and oh, the fireplace, that's a good space. Yes, that spot at the landing halfway up the stairs, maybe a group could be good there. Maybe your kids together and then singles of your kids. I love to do something of just you and your husband for the bedroom, maybe something more fun and playful in the family room. So because that's my goal. Family room, fun, 1 to 3, 3 or 4 of the kids together in single, something for the bedroom of mom and dad, and then a wow piece for the main one. So that's maybe 7 or 8 right there. And okay, so then the consultation, I plant more seeds. I'm watching my time.
We're
I'm
good.
good.
I'll keep track of time for you.
Because I'm going to go through like step by step of the sales system. But I plant those seeds. I send them home. I let them know the pricing. Some people don't, but I send them home with a very simple price sheet. I do a la carte. Packages just confuse me. and therefore confuse clients. And in this packet, there, besides tips on how to make the session go well and all those other things, is a worksheet. So where they measure, they make little notes of potential walls, plural, walls. And for them to measure. Now, they don't always fill those out.
Right.
It's a fold up packet. It's got
a, like, yeah. Just show up with clean clothes. That's our bare minimum.
Yeah. I don't care if they're clean. They just need to be they need to be solid colors and long sleeves that go together. And not show the dirt.
Right.
I can reach that out. Okay. Any questions from anybody from this point before I launch into the step-by-step?
So far, no questions, but if you do have questions, put them into chat and I'll monitor that while you forge on ahead.
Okay. Oh, so then the next thing is when I'm photographing with multiple sales in mind, multiple image sales in mind. And I plant those seeds while I'm photographing.
And can you give an example of what that means?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this was perfect. This is perfect. Here, look through the lens. I work on a tripod so I can get more connection with people, and head swaps are so much easier when you work on a tripod. And I might have the client look through the lens and see what I see. And I think, oh my God, that could be just a great wall portrait. Or, yeah.
Is that doing something like getting different groupings or variety, or like?
Well, okay. So the planting the seeds is about just speaking about wall art.
Okay.
But then different groupings, and I'll show you. I always do with a family. I'm looking for maybe 3 different locations for the whole group. I do full. I love my 24-105 lens because I can get a big scene and then I can get medium size and I can zoom in quickly and do close-ups of the family. It focuses close, so I can have a child sit down and look up at me, which is a big seller.
Right. That's my favorite lens too. 24-105 is almost always on my camera.
Yay.
That's the money lens.
It is. Because it's got a beautiful portrait lens at that 105. And then it's got the nice medium that we want, but then we can do those scenic shots without having to like be so far back if you've got, a zoom lens.
Or switching lenses and missing a moment.
Oh, yeah. I do not want to do that. I'm getting some dirt. So
we prepped them. We've got our ideas on here and we're planning for multiple sales in mind when we're shooting.
Yes. So now one little hot tip from Aunt Lucy. I never promise I can get the kids together by themselves if the ages are not workable. If you've got a toddler and a newborn, I do not promise I can get a great picture of just the 2 of them. If you've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, no, it's challenging enough to get one by themselves. So we plan for success, which is parents being included. And then if I can make that happen, like sometimes I've actually made that happen by having the parents holding the kids and getting them all together cheek to cheek, and the parents aren't in the picture except their arms. So yeah.
So kind of cheating.
Okay. Yes. And in those cases, I spend more time also doing the individuals. Yeah. And I allow 2 hours so that I can do those multiples, and I strategize my different locations. I know where the light's going to be at a different time. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to do this kind of thing. Then we're moving here. The lights changed. So I have at least 3 different scenes when I'm working. So it's not going to look like it was all the same exact.
Going for variety, more opportunities to sell.
Exactly. And I don't suggest a lot of clothing changes, if any, because often what happens is their favorite picture, they won't be wearing the outfit they like the best. Wah, wah, wah.
That's a good tip. It adds
Yeah.
continuity amongst the entire session too, huh?
Right. But with different backgrounds, with different poses, with some walking, some jumping, some laughing, some looking off in a direction. Ken Whitmire used to teach, what was it? It was like
The
the
different
phases.
phases. Yep.
Yes, look at each other, looking at the camera, looking off
The introspective.
emotionally.
Yeah. Engaging in the
Introspective.
environment. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So on to the actual in the sales room. So what I recommend is a nice quality projector, a good screen. A television is not the same as a projector. You cannot go as big, and you can't use the whiteboards. I'm going to tell you about those with a television. And it doesn't translate in our brains as, oh, I've gone from a digital media to analog. So TV is better than a laptop. It's better than proofs. It's better than Zoom. Maybe Zoom's better than a laptop. I don't know. Anyway, so nice quality projector. And if you know what you're looking for, sometimes you can find really good deals on eBay. I just found a projector that's the same as mine for one of my clients. I paid $1,800 about 5 years ago. It was $150. So if you know what you're looking for. Okay, nice projector, a screen. And then I have white foam boards cut in big sizes down to 11 by 14s. So I have a 40 by 60, 40, 40, 30 by 40, 30, 30, some narrow, skinny ones. And why do you think I have those? Can you guess? Have you heard me say this, Chris?
I have not heard that you do this, but I've got an idea on what you do with them. My guess is that you're holding it up, letting the projector hit it so they can see what it looks like, but then also letting them physically hold the size or establish that as a real size.
Yes. So now, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, this was the only way to show a size. And yes, it is lovely in ProSelect that you can set it up so you could show actual size, or you could do the room views. But to me, there's so much power in holding up a board, composing it the way that I like. So it might be a square, it might be more panorama, it might be traditional, and seeing it as it's finished art ready to frame. There's always a sound people make when they see that. Ooh. And when I've taught this class in person, I feel like I'm yelling. Am I yelling? No,
You're
I'm
not yelling.
Excited.
Nope.
I'm just excited.
You're just excited.
So when I've done this and there's an audience of photographers who've been doing all kinds of things, and I hold those boards up, that same sound happens. I hear them go, oh, oh, oh. All right. So projector, white screen, the whiteboards, and then you want to have some wall portraits. If you're going to their home, I take a few large portraits that I set on a chair somewhere so they just get a sense of what something looks like. All right. You ready?
Yep.
For the actual, okay. So step one, let's see. Do I want to screen share right now?
Your choice. I got about 20 minutes left.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to give you just a quickie overview first. So I do a slideshow, put to music, and I leave in about 25% more images than I think. Okay, we say this in a different way. I could edit down to 40 that I know are the best, almost always, but I leave in 65 so that they are eliminating down to 35 or 40. So there's enough for multiple wall portraits and books. And so the best images don't get eliminated. Away. Yes. So my example is if I was like, hey, Chris, here's a blue pen. Do you like it? Do you want it? You got a yes or no. If I say, hey, Chris, I've got this blue pen, this pink pen, this green pen, which of these do you like?
Blue pen.
Then blue pen. And how do you feel about the green one? Yeah, it's okay. The pink one, no. So there's a psychology of having people say yes and maybe. So anyway, but the slideshow is basically the best of. Put it to music. There's many ways you can do it in ProSelect. You can do it in Fundy. You can do it in Lightroom, Bridge. My career until now has been to use Apple's iPhoto, but now with the new update, it's only photos and it doesn't have some of the features I like. But you can do a beautiful slideshow in Apple Photos.
Okay, so we got our slideshow. That's step one.
Step one. Step two is a yes, no, maybe. And the important thing with yes, no, maybe is no backseas, no comparisons.
Yep.
Why do you think that is, Chris?
Because then we go back and forth and they're trying to evaluate. We're too analytical at that point.
Right. And it can get overwhelming. So the yes, no, maybe we just keep moving forward. And when I get to an image where they go, oh, I love that. That's my cue. Or if I feel like, oh my gosh, if I showed this to them on a 30 by 40, they're going to see the impact stronger. I get out of my chair. I pull up the biggest board in the shape I think is appropriate, and I just let them see an image as if it's done. So that starts getting them that desire and the understanding of how these might look as well. Okay, round 3 is comparing similar ones. So I don't go through all of them again. I just look at the ones that are like into itself. So it wouldn't be like, okay, here's the two of us looking at the camera. Now we're looking at each other. Those are different. It would be, I'm looking at the camera with this expression, and then here's one that's slightly different. And again, we don't have to pick just one. We just keep eliminating the ones that are not as strong, and they keep saying yes to the ones that they really like.
Pretend like you're at the optometrist.
Exactly.
Like camera 1 or camera 2
all
better.
The time. They say that all the time, and I just,
So you have a question from Carolyn wanting to know, do you project on their wall?
No, I bring a portable stand. Now, if they happen to have a great big blank white wall, there
needs to be a wall portrait there. We're doing it.
Yeah, but see, I need to be able to have verticals as well. So usually I bring it's like the little tripod telescoping projector.
Sure, portable projector screen. Yeah.
Yes. And it needs to be the square, so I can do high, tall, as well as wide.
So not that 16:9 ratio that's super popular for movies, but
no.
The old school square ones.
Yes, exactly. Good question. All right.
So we've done similar comparison side by side.
Okay, so now I've got a collection of ones we know they like. So this is secret sauce number 2. Number 1 is the whiteboards.
Okay.
Number 2 is we categorize them into the highest potential. When I started doing this is when I started selling multiple wall portraits. So I make a folder for wall, for small, and for albums potential. And if they say, we don't know if we want a wall portrait, that's okay. Just stay with this system. I don't know if I want an album. That's okay. As soon as we get this through, then we can really start deciding, making those decisions of what you really want. And then this is the most powerful. Are you ready?
Let's give it.
Okay. I do a slideshow of the wall group, just the wall group. I run through it twice. And before I do, I say, we've been doing a lot of thinking. And I want you to go back to that emotional connection with the images. So I'm going to run through a slideshow. We're going to do it twice. And I want you to notice which ones, plural again, give you a really strong emotional reaction. Or one of my friend coaching clients, Joel Treadwell, he's a fun guy, you'd love him, always says, which one tugs at your heartstrings? Okay, so I want you to notice which ones, when they come up, every time give you really strong emotional reaction because that is what you're going to feel every day for the rest of your life if you order these as wall art.
That's evil. I love it.
Yeah, it's not playing fair, unfair advantage. So why is that evil, Chris?
Well, you got that emotion that's going on there, and you're like, well, I want to feel like that all the time. Fine, Lucy, take
Yeah,
my money.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Sell my firstborn, whatever we need to do. And it's because it's true. I have portraits of my parents that I took. I knew that dad was not well and that I didn't have much time to get the two of them. We went to the Sequoias in California, which is our favorite family vacation and spot. And I did portraits of them that every time I look at them, I feel love. I feel happy. I feel like my parents are still both with me. My mom's 97, my dad's gone, but I get to still feel that love and that connection every single day, which is why I do this, because I want that for people. Okay, so I say that magic secret sauce thing, and then I do the slideshow twice to music of just the wall group, not the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
just the wall group. And then at that point, we look at that group, we decide which ones can move down to smalls, we decide um, which are which are the strongest. And then I will sort them so that I put all the family ones together, all the ones of the parents together, all the ones of individuals of kids, and so forth. Um, and we kind of edit down, and then I get my boards out again. I pulled them out at least twice during this before now, and I show each one of these that have given them a strong emotional reaction as if it's finished art on a board. Now, I know doing it as a room view has some power as well. For me to actually see it large in front of you, getting the full impact of that feeling is why at the lab that I use the most, I have the record for the most wall portraits per client of any of their high-end photography clients, because they're like, what wall? I want that. Where's that going to go? Like that desire is really high.
We
It's
need
like if you,
multiple.
yeah,
That's
if you
how we
were going
get
to
to the
have,
3 to 7.
right, if you were going to buy a couch, if they could magically show it as if it's already in your living room compared to showing you a picture of a living room with the couch in it, or even if it's your living room with the couch in it, uh, I don't know how many people think that makes some sense or is powerful.
It is powerful. So
Yeah.
I got a question. When you're doing the foam, are you playing with scale on it? So when you're holding up that, say a 20 by 30, it's not going to be as big as like a 30 by 40 or 40 by 60. Are you moving it closer to the projector so the projector fills up more of the space, or do you always leave it back where the projector screen is?
So when I'm at this point, I'm still showing it on the biggest boards possible.
Okay, so we haven't looked at different sizes.
No.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then we brainstorm about, okay, this is a collection we have. Let's talk about your spaces, what we can do. This is where that being positioned as an interior designer and an art designer, decorator comes into play.
That trusted
That's,
advisor.
yes, exactly. That space is it could be great for this and that. We've got those of the kids together. Would you rather put a portrait of each of them in their own room, or is there that space up at the landing above the stairs? Could that be a really cool little gallery? So we get creative on sizes, and then we just take it from there. Okay, so here's the main one. It needs to be this size or this size. Then I'll get the boards up and show, okay, here's 30/40, here's 24 by 36. Either one would work. What do you think? Write that down and then step by step pick sizes. Now, that would be a place to do a room view. But there's danger of getting too technical and detailed.
Yeah, it takes it out of your process, that emotional.
Exactly. I have used room view when we know like I've done a Zoom call where we've decided, yes, we're going to do a grouping right here at the bottom of the stairs, and there's different shapes and sizes. I've completed the sale, and just deciding exactly the layout. Sometimes I will do that room view, but generally, one more step can
throw a monkey wrench into it.
Yes, less is more. Perfect, Chris.
So we got about 10 minutes left, so hit us more with those tips.
Good, perfect. Okay, so I don't sell frames at the same time. 2 reasons. Can you guess?
Frames are expensive, and it's too many options.
Yes. And in my experience, I think that if I can inspire them to invest $5,000, they're either going to spend $5,000 on art and frames or $5,000 on art, and then the frames later. There's a word for it that it's like a step up investment level. So I collect, this is just a little side thing. I collect a session fee and a minimum purchase. And so that weeds out the very budget conscious people, but it's not so high that it weeds out really great clients that aren't ready to commit to $3,000. So it's kind of moderate. It's a sweet spot of maybe what I would charge for an 11 by 14, but I don't tell them, it covers an 11 by 14. Just I collect a session fee and a minimum. I don't say my session fee is this and you have this much to spend. I separate them so they see them as separate things. Okay. So they pick their wall portraits. In order to close sales, there's different ways. Some people are able to just say, this is it, this is the price. And now what else do you want? I find that if people are a little overwhelmed, but they're still engaged, I will often create a bundle. I might do the woolly. Is there else I'm pronounced woolly like mammoth?
Like woolly mammoth. Yep.
Okay. If I can create a woolly package and create an offer you can't refuse, are you open to that?
You mean you're going to make a woolly good deal?
A woolly good deal, yeah.
I can just hear the groans online. Be like, oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to try to make you an offer you can't refuse. So I love the choices we've made. It's 6,000. I know you want the book, which is 3,000. If I could make a collection that's a total 8,000 that includes the book and 10 smalls, 8 by 10s, 5 by 7s of whatever you want. Does that work for you? So I'm sweetening that deal. It cuts down on the sticker shock where they call back and say, I want to change this. That works for me. Some people do something where whatever you buy for wall art, you get a bonus that you can spend on albums and small prints. I don't call it a create your own collection. To me, that has been a confusing concept. I know it works for some people. So anyway, it's harder to teach that actual final, how I get to that. But I will say that one of my clients that we started from no business and we completely invented his business from the ground up.
Is this one of your coaching clients?
Yes.
Okay. And, not doing commercial branding. I'm just making sure.
Yes.
Okay. I'm in the right mindset now.
Yes. And so we built a pet photography business, and his first actual sale, he would have sold $4,000 worth, but I hadn't taught him yet how to close a sale. So as it still was a 2,000, and they put 500 down for a next session. And it's just, he didn't know, like, I find that the people that have been doing this a long time, it's harder to get them to change because they've got things that have been working to a point. So my suggestion is try it. You'll like it. Go for it. And always, always, always get the deposit, get the payment, get to the agreement. That's a whole other conversation about handling objections. But one little hot tip is the first thing I do is I ask a question if they've got an objection or a resistance to something. Anyway, okay. So secret sauce is the boards, small wall and album groupies. Oh, I know. I was going to screen share.
Let me know when you're ready for it, and I'll switch to it.
I'm ready.
All right. We can see your screen. It looks like ProSelect.
Yes. And I'm still getting used to ProSelect because I got so habituated with iPhoto, even though I've upgraded my ProSelect endlessly over the last 8 years. So you can see here that I've got, if it's big enough, you can see I've made categories. So all is the whole group. Then I've got wall, small, album, and the best of. So once I narrow down, like let's say these are.
Yeah, so we're looking at the bottom left of the screen. It's slightly off screen for us.
Oh, okay.
Can you move it to your right? There we go. Okay.
Let me shrink that down. Okay, you can see I've got all of them. And so I go, okay, wall, smaller, album.
Yep. Oh, so you can go full screen again. We're good. I was just seeing that the folders in the bottom left.
But I want you to see it going into a folder. So I've made a duplicate of the best so that as I'm moving things around, I can always go back to, wait, did we forget something? Okay, so wall, small, and album. Wall. Okay, wall, small, album. And I slide them physically into each of those categories.
So you're just taking them and dragging them so that we've got some sort of organization going.
Yes. So we go through, this is a fun family that I photograph every single year since the littlest was a new baby.
Those are the best clients. It's all about relationships at that point, huh?
Yep. Client loyalty. So, I worked hard to kind of curate this a little. So I just thought I'd show you some of the variety. They always like each kid with a parent, the mom with the kids, dad with the kids. These two girls always love to do something fun. Dad loves to be photographed. The oldest is resistant.
So pretty normal then, huh?
Well, particularly if she was an only child, she'd do anything you wanted. But okay, so I was going to show you. I left this in because we had A or B. So when I'm doing the comparisons, then something like this, I would say, okay, which is your favorite, 1 or 2?
Do you ever put them up side by side?
1. No. Nope.
No, it's just back and forth.
Back and forth, more emotional impact. I want each one to give them a little charge. And when they're together, then you're more analytical again. I'm staying right brain as much as I can.
Yeah, we're just about out of time. Just a heads up on that one, Lucy. So if we have any kind of wrap up stuff or bonus tips or anything like that, now would be a great time before we have some last minute questions and give away some prizes.
Great. Okay. So we can stop screen sharing. And these look grainy because, long story, they ended up too small when I went. So I don't have to explain it. They aren't. Okay.
Yep. Getting comments on your beautiful backlighting with the sun.
Thank
Yeti
you.
says that beautiful portrait. Sucker for that lighting.
Thank you. Yes. And this is all I love, just natural light that I find. That's my favorite. So, okay. So I want to tell you about, so are we talking about the opportunity
Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah. We can totally jump to that one now.
or
Yeah.
questions?
No,
You have
so
questions?
right now, if you do have any questions for Lucy, put them into chat, and she will answer them for us, which is kind of cool on that. And then also was chatting with Lucy before, and I'm like, all right, do you got something cool that you can do with our group? Because yeah, Lucy's pretty pretty good friend here, and so she said that. Well, actually, do you want to tell us about what you do and your coaching and help others get there and figure out how to supercharge their business?
Sure. So LucyDumasCoaching.com is where you can look look up my coaching stuff, and you can find my podcasts tab there as well. But I would love to offer your audience, I have 5 sessions available. They're called Create the Business of Your Dreams Strategy Sessions. And so if you'd like to apply for one of those, there's a link. You can email me, Lucy at lucydumas.com, or Chris, you said there was going to be a
Yep,
click
I
on
put a
link.
thing. If you're in chat right now, you can see it. There's a little thing that says coaching next to it. If you click that, you'll be able to see a picture of Lucy, but also a link to her calendar as well as her email address that's on there. And both of those are going out in the email follow-up right after this program as well.
Great. Great, great, great. So if you wanted to set up just a quick 20-minute chat and get to know a little about your business, where you are, and then determine if
You're
who
going to play well together.
who the winners of one of the 5 would be. So and if you're listening to this later, still connect with me, because every month I create an opportunity, depending on my schedule, to do these in-depth sessions where you're going to take a deep dive into your dreams, some of the challenges, and then I'll be able to give you an idea of what I think your next great move would be to move you forward. I was going to say forehead.
Right.
So
To move you
step
forward.
one is
Right.
just a quick chat, and then we will see where we go from there.
Cool. So thank you for offering that, Lucy. That's very, very generous of you. And Lucy does know her stuff. She's helped tons of photographers up their game too. So I can definitely attest to that one. I've been at several things with Lucy, and we just love to chat kind of back and forth on there. So, I mean, that's why I reached out saying, hey, Lucy, I did you a favor before. Do me a favor. Be on here. Help, help, help. And that's why she's here for this. So thank you so much, Lucy. So I haven't seen any questions come through yet, but I do have some giveaways, so there is still time. If you want to ask Lucy something, put it in the chat right now. But let's get into the cool stuff, because I've got stuff to give away from American Color Imaging. But before we get going on with those prizes, they are totally redoing Background Town. They just added serendipity backgrounds to their catalog. Like, there's a whole bunch of backgrounds going on now. You can get 35% off of backgrounds and flooring, but you've got to use the special code, which I'm putting into chat right now. We'll also email that, and that's good through all of January as well. So you can get that deal at 35% off of backgrounds and flooring that's there. So I want to let you know about that one. But let's give away some prizes, because those are always fun. So up first, I've got a $50 lab credit to American Color Imaging. And that one's going to go to, well, we'll see who that one goes to. It goes round and round and round. And the winner is, I can't quite tell, Lisa.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, Lisa. You've got a $50 lab credit to ACI. So up next, we've got a $75 lab credit, because who doesn't love free money?
Yeah.
So let's see on that $75 credit. And we're going to keep on spinning. And looks like that one's going to Jennifer Tyler. Congratulations on that one. And now we've got our final prize that's coming up, and that is a $100 lab credit to one of our viewers. And let's see who's going to get it. And it's spinning. And is it online? Nope. It is Koi. Congratulations on there. So I will shoot an email out to and ACI will get that added to your account So congratulations on that, because that's kind of crazy cool that we've got that going on there. And thanks to ACI for generously providing those door prizes, because it makes life a little bit better. So right now, it doesn't look like we have any questions going through. So I think everybody's just like, whoa, jaw drop, saying there's so much information that's here. Right. Do you want to let our viewer and audience know that we do have some new shows coming up on December 22nd? Lisa Kachara is going to be looking at photographing the old, the everyday, and the imperfect. And pretty much, if you're looking at entering image competition, doing fine art stuff, that sort of thing, she's going to provide a brand new perspective on how to get really, really cool things going on, and just different ways of looking at stuff. So be sure to check that one out. Also, if you do have ideas for future episodes, or you want to be on the show, or you think that there would be somebody that would be amazing on it, email me, hello@cwooley.com, so that we can start a conversation. This is all for you guys that we're doing this. So if you've got ideas of content that you want to see, let me know. That's why we're supercharging at the end of this year all of our sales and marketing stuff, so that you can up your game and make more money. So that's always fun. But if you want to learn about something else, let me know. So we do have a question from Connie, so hopefully you can answer this one. We're just about out of time, but Connie wants to know if you'd explain about how you do the ordering of frames later, Lucy.
So I'm the pickiest person on earth for color, and I like to make sure my retouching is good. So I get test prints done beforehand. My lab will do a 16 by 20 for just $750, not mounted. And also I'll do proofs for the smaller ones. And then I invite them. First of all, I plant some seeds for framing. And then I ask if they'd like to come in when I get my test prints to take a look at frames and possibly pick those, so that when I deliver their art, it's ready to go. And then if they're like, no, not now, and I'm careful not to call it for approval of the image, because it can get a whole can of worms with that. Right. Unless there's somebody really picky, then I will have them look at the test before I go ahead. Then when I'm delivering, I also pull out some corners, and I'll mention, would you like to set aside a little time to pick frames? My pricing is comparable to what you can get out there, but you get that full service from me. You get the artist's eye, and you know that it's going to go home and be safe, and not be damaged as you take it to a framer and so forth. And if they say, no, we're good, I still get out 3 or 4 frames that I think are ideal, and just show them the corners and say, here's why I would do this. And then sometimes they'll say, okay, let's go ahead and do that. So I allow enough. Right. Always planting those seeds. And yes, I don't, it's a double negative or something. Yes, I don't get everyone framed, but at the same time, I think my income is higher because I do it this way. About 20% of my income every year comes from framing. And it's my theory psychologically that they would have not invested that additional if I had sold the frame with the purchase of the art. Yeah.
That's very smart. Also, question from Susan. What software did you say you used for your slideshows?
Well, I used to use iPhoto, and I'm now going to finally get all the ins and outs of ProSelect. Fundy works as well. You go with stars, so you just have to tell people, if it's 5 stars, you're calling it wall. You can't make an actual folder, but you can use stars. And I know people that do really well with Fundy. You can use Bridge. You can use Lightroom. I prefer Bridge over Lightroom. Lightroom is a little bit clunky. Bridge is a little more streamlined. And I use stars, and then anyway, yes.
Yeah. So ProSelect, what you currently use for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I do the same in my studio. We're ProSelect here.
Yeah. There's a lot of capacity with ProSelect. I don't use much of it. other than selling. I don't use the invoicing. I handwrite invoices. I keep it really
Straightforward. And
personal, analog, you know.
do have another question for you too. From
Good. I
Yeti
love
wanted
it.
to know, how do you charge for framing? Is it like 3 or 4 times cost, or are you?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. If it's a very inexpensive frame, I'll go up some on it because I'm covering my time and
Uh-huh.
the work of helping pick a frame and do the framing. And I order it chopped and joined, and then I put it together myself.
Okay.
Or I hire somebody. I have a team, a person that comes over and does some stuff. And one is I teach them framing right away.
Very
Was that
cool.
the
Well,
full
thank you
one?
so very much, Lucy, for
Thank
sharing your
you. Thanks for
information on how
asking.
we can supercharge our IPS and start selling 3 to 7 wall portraits or albums and albums that
And
come in
more.
with every client. It was a pleasure having you on here, and thank you
Thanks,
so much
Chris.
for that generous offer too. For everybody that's watching, check for that email. You'll have the links to everything that's going on there. If you want to connect with Lucy, learn more about her, Cyberstalker. Are you going to imaging this year?
Uh,
Maybe.
yes, unless
Yeah.
unless the COVIDs decides that it's just way too scary. I'm nervous about it, but it's a risk reward thing, and I'd be heartbroken if I don't go. So
Right. Well, hopefully
that's
I'll
the
see you
plan.
there then.
Yeah, you got a hug waiting for you.
Yep, right. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so very much for joining us.